This gaming PC has pretty much all of the rarest components that you can put together, and I worked pretty hard, almost like a scavenger hunt, to be able to find all of these pieces. It's going to be in the Lian Li Dynamic Mini, and the specs are pretty crazy, so let's go over the build and see how it came out. Today's video is sponsored by Trend Micro, and specifically we're going to talk about their premium security suite. Now, as you see, we build a lot of computers here on the channel, and one of the primary things that as soon as I install Windows, I always have to make sure that the system is going to be secure. And of course, like many people on the web, I've experienced very frustrating problems as well, because after all, you really don't want to have your information stolen or it end up in some type of leak or anything like that. And that's where the Trend Micro Premium Security Suite is going to come in. First, I love the very simple, easy to use interface. You can of course first focus on your own computer, do a scan, see what recommendations that it has. Then you can also go to other sections such as privacy. There you can even do searches for private information, see how secure your passwords are. But anytime you go out with your phone, be it on Android or iOS, you certainly need more protection with your Wi-Fi to make sure that nothing's going to be stolen, that your information isn't going to be accessed no matter where you are. And the Trend Micro Premium Security Suite certainly is a fantastic all-in-one package that really puts everything together in a very organized and easy to use package. And one of my favorite things as well, especially if you have it like on your gaming desktop, it's pretty much a light application, meaning that it's not going to interfere with your gaming or any of your computer's performance. So I'm happy to report it's a very pleasant experience using this to helping you manage your passwords as well as keeping your mobile and Wi-Fi information secure. Remember to check out the link down below in the description. Let me know if you have any questions, and let's get back to the video. Some say every time you smash that like button, you get to play in a little scavenger hunt, finding that last part that you need. Maybe it's going to drop at midnight and you got to hurry up and get it, but your percentage hit points for luck goes up about 10%. All right, so let's talk about today's build. Now, I know it's really difficult and impossible right now to do a gaming build, and I know firsthand because I just put this together and I had to look for these parts, a lot of them very, very rare, in pretty much every single place that I could. Now, this build I'm very happy with. It came out really nice, performs really well. It is going to be all water cooled. We're using everything from EK water blocks, from the special edition CPU blocks and the GPU blocks. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this build, tell you where I was actually able to get some of these parts, and how I view everything that's put together overall. First, let's talk about the case itself. This is going to be the new Lian Li Dynamic Mini. This is actually the second or third version that I'm building in this case. I really like it. It does have some limitations when you're talking about hardware space, but we are using an ATX motherboard in here, and this motherboard is none other than the X570 Dark Hero from Asus. This is going to be the first item in sort of our scavenger hunt, our very difficult to find motherboard. This one I just basically got lucky. Micro Center had one in stock. I reserved it, went and picked it up. That's pretty much the story. People have signed up for notifications for this motherboard, so it's definitely been one of the more difficult X570 motherboards to get. Well, I would say pretty much the most difficult, just because, I mean, not only does it look pretty cool, but the performance, the VRMs, it's just overall an excellent package and one of the best AMD motherboards that you can basically get. And of course, I paired this with the Ryzen 5900X. Now, this particular 5900X, I actually ordered on the day that it was announced from B&H, and I believe it took like 2 or 3 months, but eventually they, shipped this out to me. So that's how I was able to get that at MSRP. But of course, I had to wait a very long time. And as you guys know, the 5900X with the 5950X is one of the most difficult CPUs to get at the moment. But with a little insight, that's at least how I was able to get mine. And then of course, we come to the GPU. This is the AMD Reference 6800. Now, this GPU, I was able to get pretty much right around launch. It was much easier to get it back then. If you try to get one of these now, not only is the price inflated, but it's going to be considerably more difficult, especially these reference GPUs. Only places that would really sell them, Micro Center has them. You could look on AMD's own website that have them. But of course, course, as we know by now, very difficult to find. Newegg has them as well, the reference models. Now, I really like the reference models because I can use this EK Water Block Special Edition block. Now, both the CPU block, that's the Special Edition Velocity block, as well as the Radeon Special Edition EK Water Blocks, both of these EK actually sent to me to do this build. And these blocks, even though they're Special Edition, I believe they still have stock of them. So if it's something you want to put in your build, should be, fairly easy to get as well. Now, the other water cooling gear that we have in here, these are going to be the EK Torque fittings. We're using 16mm satin titanium. This really has ended up being my favorite set of fittings to use, as well as my favorite color. I mean, it just looks super high end. Like, it's just really nice to work with. And of course, I'm using the black, matte black tubing, the ZMT, zero maintenance tubing. This is 16mm. Recently, I've actually been doing a lot of builds with these ZMT matte black tubing. Generally, I've done a lot of hardline or even soft tube with the clear tube, but there's something about this sort of look that I really like. It just makes the system look really, really nice, really mean, like everything really works well together. Not to mention, it's certainly a lot easier to work with. You can put together a water cooling loop like this with sort of these matte black tubings a lot faster than if you're doing hardline and if you're going to switch something out. I love switching things out all the time, so for me, that's a definite advantage. And of course, this is linked up to the reservoir, 120mm EK Water Blocks reservoir. This is going to be the FLT, or with a D5 pump. Now, in this case, you can technically fit the 240mm version, but I would have some clearance issues with the radiators that I'm using, so I decided to do the smaller one. I'm using the 360mm EK radiator on the bottom. This is a Performance Edition. Behind the pump, I'm using a 240mm Performance Edition EK radiator. I found that this combination is more than enough to keep the temperatures cool. Generally, temperatures won't go above 50 degrees Celsius on the GPU under heavy load, and on the 5900X, generally you'll be in the 60s or 70s if you do something like Cinebench and really stress the CPU. So basically, very, very good performance. And of course, that cooling is due in part to another unicorn scavenger item in our build, and that's going to be the Lian Li Uni fans. These fans, as soon as they came out, are extremely popular, very difficult to get. Once again, I got lucky and found these at Micro Center. Now, pretty much I've seen them online, but they're going to be a little bit more expensive. Like a set at MSRP is supposed to be $100, but sometimes on Amazon you'll find them for like 150 when they're available. So certainly very nice fans. They seem to push a lot of air. They work great on the radiators, and they look really amazing. Not to mention that cable management is really great. You basically link them all up as one fan. Then you have just one set of wires going to their fan controller, which comes included. So it's a lot easier to do a build like this without having, RGB wires and the fan wires from each fan going to controllers. So that's certainly something that I really, really liked using, and plus they look absolutely amazing. And of course, I'm using EK's CryoFuel, the clear coolant. Usually I'll use a more colored coolant, but I really thought it would blend into this build nicely. So in conclusion, definitely a difficult build to put together just because all these parts are insanely hard to get, and some of them I did get a little while back, which was easier compared to now. But overall, I'm very happy with the performance and the aesthetics of this build. If you guys have any questions on this specific build, if you're thinking of putting something together, let me know down below and I'll let you know what I think. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed the build. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.